I am currently in the middle of over 20 book series. While a majority of them have unreleased sequels, a lot of them have books that I could be reading. The first series we will be continuing is the Rose Hill series by Elsie Silver, and I am currently reading Wild Eyes, which is the second book in the series. I think I gave Wild Love 4 stars, I want to say. High hopes for this one. Our male main character, Wes, did appear in the first book, and the female main character is from out of town. It's exciting. I already got to page 78 last night, chapter 7. I feel like Elsie Silver can just like really suck me into a book, and then I read 100 pages in no time. She just is really good at that, and it's super enjoyable to have that experience when reading. Not too much to say so far. All of the books in the Rose Hill series are single dads, so we already got to see some of the kids. I feel like that's going to be a lot of fun because Elsie Silver just does kids different. They're like funny, comedic relief. You just have no idea what's going to come out of their mouth, like how it is in real life. Big fan of that, and excited to get more into this book. So it is the next day, and I made it to page like 280 last night. I didn't even realize I read that much, but Elsie Silver just sucks me in so much to her writing, and it's so easy to just fly through her books. I love that about her writing. It's very entertaining and easy to get lost in the world and the book and the characters' lives, and it's just a fun time to experience that when reading. Pretty much every single one of her books is like that for me. So now that I'm a little further, I want to give some backstory to what the book is about. This is the second book in the Rose Hill series. So the first book, we got a romance between 2 different characters, and this book is another romance between West, who is the brother, one of the main characters in the first book, and Skylar, who is a famous singer who has come to Rose Hill to record with Ford, who was also a main character in the first book. So she is a very famous country singer, but basically her whole entire life has been controlled. So she doesn't really have a sense of who she is, but she's come to this town to try and figure that out while recording an album. But she meets West because she is staying in his bunkhouse. It just goes from there. West is a single dad, so he has 2 children, and I mentioned this earlier, but I love the kids in this book. They are so fun and so cute and add so much personality to the story that wouldn't be there without them. It's fun seeing their interactions with their dad, but also with Skylar. I don't think I've mentioned this when talking about an Elsie Silver book, but it's something I also love about her works is they all take place in Canada, around the Canadian Rockies. So Rose Hill, mountain town. There's Rose Hill. There's Chestnut Springs from that series. So just like the nature and the atmosphere is so fun to read about too. Literally the first chapter of this book, there was a grizzly bear cameo, which was amazing. And I just love that aspect as well. It brings me back to when I was in Banff, which is in the Canadian Rockies, and I just love that. Gonna keep reading. Seriously, I would not be surprised if I finish this tonight because read like almost 200 pages last night. That's actually insane. I will not be shocked if I'm talking to you guys tomorrow about my final review of this book. Finished Wild Eyes actually a couple days ago, and I don't know if I gave a synopsis before, but the male main character, West, is a horse trainer with 2 kids and no plans of settling down. He doesn't want to disrupt life with his kids. That's West. And then Skylar is a singer from out of town who has basically been controlled her entire life because she's grown up in the public eye basically to make money for her parents. And she's like, I want to record a new album for myself, and she does it with the help of Ford Grant. So that's how she ends up in Rose Hill. I really enjoy this book. I can just fly through Elsie Silver's books, and her writing is so easy to read. Characters are so enjoyable to follow, and the kids just make everything mwah. I will say West is kind of a shameless flirt, which I didn't love and posed some problems. It wasn't like a big problem for me, at least while reading. And then I also understood the concerns and reservations the characters had about each other in this book. The conflicts felt very realistic for the situation that they were in. Sometimes conflicts in romance books, I'm like, just talk about it. Why are we not just communicating? But I think I'm gonna give this a 3.5 stars. And that's still a good rating. Normally I rate Elsie Silver books 4 stars, and those I really enjoyed, but something about this, I enjoyed reading it, but it wasn't my favorite Elsie Silver book. Her series as a whole are definitely 5 stars. Like, I literally think I've given every single book 4. Maybe I've given a couple 4.5, like, what is it, Heartless and Powerless, but her series as a whole is 5 stars. It's just like the individual books aren't. But I do love the community and found family aspects that come with reading the second book in an interconnected standalone series, and that was definitely in this book. And also, I am so excited for the third book in this series, Wild Side. You get hints in this book, which is just mwah, so perfect. I'm so excited. And then I did actually start our next read, which is A Torch Against the Night by, I'm gonna say this so wrong again, I need to look up how to pronounce it, Sabaa Tahir. I'm about 100 pages in, and I'm so happy to be back in this world. I read the first book this summer. I'm just now getting to this one. I'm really enjoying it so far. We pick up right where we left off, and the ending of the first one was crazy. We do get another character's perspective in this book, which I am enjoying, and I do think it's smart for plot devices to have this character's perspective in this book. Yeah, I'm excited to see where the rest of this goes. They're in some trouble. With work. This lighting is gonna be so bad. I want to give an update on A Torch Against the Night because it is getting so good. This is only the second book, and I'm like, this fantasy series, so good. I'm confident saying that. I know it's gonna be so good. Like I was saying, there's already this vibe of who's doing the right thing and who's doing the wrong thing. And also, okay, I think I know who the bad guys are, but some of the bad guys are like the villains are good, in my opinion. Want the characters who are on the bad side to not, you know, it's like morally gray. There's these beings that I'm like, you are not it. I'm just like so curious where this is going and how everything is gonna play out, because the journey the characters are on right now is just insane, and I can see it getting even crazier. There's a lot of characters on the bad side that are like, no, you are very bad. I really dislike you, and what you do is horrible, of course. It's good. The ending of the last book was crazy, so I'm curious to see how she's gonna end this one. So as you saw, I finished A Torch Against the Night actually last night. I am really happy I'm continuing this series in this video because I had so much fun reading this book and following the characters on the journey they went on. I'm very excited to pick up the next books because a lot of the characters are in interesting situations right now, and I'm curious to see how those are going to work out in the rest of the series. There's 2 more books in this series, and the series is completed. They're all published, which is really nice. So yay, we made some progress on another series I'm in the middle of. I think I'm gonna give it 4.25, and I don't know if I've ever given a 0.25. I might have given 3.75 to a book before, but I normally don't get that granular. Normally I'm like, okay, a half rating is good enough, but I'm like, this is more than a 4, but I don't know if it's a 4.5. I think this series as a whole for me, unless things go really, really wrong in the next 2 books, which I don't see that happening, will be a 5-star series. But yeah, I think I'm gonna give this book specifically a 4.25. I will also say we learned so much more in this book about the characters and about the world. There were bits and pieces that I picked up on that definitely I think will be explored in the future. So I am really excited about that as well. And then I did actually start a book on my Kindle, which was the second book in a series. I don't remember what it's called. I read the first book in the series in September. It was just a super short and sweet, quick romance. I am not super far into this one yet. I'm not sure how I'm gonna like this one. The writing in this one, I'm already noticing that I'm not really enjoying it. So we'll see how much of this I read in this video or if I continue it. The next physical book I wanna read is Apprentice to the Villain, which I just read Assistant to the Villain, and I wanna get to this because I just really had so much fun reading Assistant to the Villain, and I'm excited to get into more of like a light fantasy because A Torch Against the Night is definitely heavier, the balance between good and evil, and while that is kind of similar for this, there is definitely, it's more of a lighthearted time, but still with those questions of good and evil. How do you guys feel about sprayed edges? I feel like I'm not the biggest fan, but they didn't have any without sprayed edges, so it is what it is. Yeah, I'm so excited to start this book. I really like her books. They're such palette cleansers. Last night I read a little bit of Apprentice to the Villain, and then I started reading this on my Kindle because it got dark and I wanted to turn my lights off. I'm really happy. I think I'm gonna continue reading this before I pick up Apprentice to the Villain again because it's just so quick, it's so easy. I kind of need just like a palette cleanser, and this book is perfect. At first I was kind of like, oh, I don't know if I'm gonna want to continue reading this because it's written in past tense in the present, which is kind of weird. I got over that pretty quickly and I'm just enjoying it now. It's a good time. I'm already 32% of the way through. This book literally just took a turn right after I finished talking to you guys, and it's my least favorite thing that happens in romance books. I don't know why I don't like it, but I'm upset. We're gonna see how this goes. I won't spoil anything, but I will say I should have seen this coming with what happened within like 30% of the book. Should have seen it coming, but I didn't. It's fine. So I finished Sunlight last night by Devney Perry, and I think I'm gonna give it 3 stars. It was honestly really what I needed in the moment to read. It was super quick, super easy, less than 300 pages on my Kindle, on Kindle Unlimited. While there was a trope that I don't necessarily enjoy, I had never read it done this way, even though I'm sure it's been done that way, especially since the event happened so early. I don't want to spoil what it is, but you might have been able to catch on from what I've been saying. It was just super quick, super easy. I love a small town romance in the fall. Now I've completed that series of all the books that have been released. I don't know if there will be more, but that felt good. Would recommend if you're just looking for an easy, quick read that requires like no brain power, or you just want like a palette cleanser. That is a nice romance and series to pick up. I'm continuing Apprentice to the Villain. I'm on chapter 3. Not very far at all, but excited to continue this and get into another fantasy. I think there's gonna be a 3rd one of this, but it's not released yet. But if I finish this, I will have completed all of the books that are out for this series too, which will feel good. So let's get reading. I'm about 100 pages in, 91 actually. It's good. We picked up right where we left off. They kind of got out of that situation fairly quickly. Now they're on a new adventure. This was how it was in the first book too. The romance, they're putting up barriers between themselves that don't necessarily need to be there. They could be together, but they're not, you know? All right, we're almost 100 pages into book 2 and I've gotten barely a lip. We get more characters' perspectives in this book, which I'm enjoying. The stakes have gotten higher because we've learned more about the world and the king's plans, how the villain is reacting to that. So I'm excited to see where this book goes. I'm pretty sure it's just a trilogy, so I think there's only one more book after this that comes out next year, I believe. I'll talk to you guys when I'm a little further along. I finished Apprentice to the Villain and checked off another series on my list. The next book doesn't come out until next year, so I've read all the books released for this series, as with 3 of the 4 series we read in this video. That feels very accomplishing. I will say I didn't like this one as much as the first one. It was more so of the same thing. The relationship didn't really progress. There was kind of a new adventure, but they were taking so many side quests to get to it that kind of felt unnecessary, but might be important. That was unfortunate. I think I'm gonna give it a 3.75, but kind of disappointed. I wish the relationship would have progressed further, like I said. What really stands out about these books is the interactions between the characters and all their dynamics. I feel like more of those relationships progressed versus like the romantic relationships. It kind of reminded me of reading Powerless and Reckless and the relationship in that, and I really didn't like that. So that's why this book did not get a higher rating or as high of a rating as the first one, because there was just no evolvement. It was all the same, and that was really disappointing. I'm still excited for the third one. I feel like second books and trilogies can be a little slower and disappointing because the nature of a trilogy. I'm excited to see where everything leads in the last one. I'm sure you guys can tell I'm kind of just sad that I didn't like this more, but that's okay. If you did read the first one, I would recommend reading this and continuing the series because it was definitely still enjoyable. Again, mostly just because of all the characters' interactions and you learn more about them, which is always fun. I feel like the world also has so much potential. You get to learn more about it through the kind of side quests they go on in this book, and that was very interesting to me as well. But yeah, overall, a little disappointed. Still had a good time though. As always, if you have read any of the books in the video, I would love to hear your thoughts and opinions in the comments. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!